that would have been discovered by the pathologist, so I'm going to say that they weren't.
Just to follow up, you saw the sunglasses and cane on the floor, according to the reports. That would seem to go against that.
You know, that's up to the detective and OMI to work out.
Sure.
I'm gonna take 2 more questions, and then that's gonna be it, sir.
Can you say what the space heater was powered by? Was it a gas powered or electric powered space heater?
I don't know that information right off the top.
Sir.
How long do you think we'll have more concrete answers of what happened?
Again, we're waiting for the autopsy results and the toxicology. The doctor, the pathologist, shared that information, which I think some tests were expedited, and so she shared that information with me because she thought it was relevant to the case and important for the public to know. I don't know. I don't know when the cause and the manner will be determined officially, or when the toxicology results come. I'm assuming the pathologist will wait for the toxicology to come back, so that'll help her make her decision on what the cause and manner is. It could be months or 3 months or longer, in my experience. One more question.
When is the last known contact with either Betsy or Gene?
Again, that's been one of our challenges because of their privacy. So one of the challenges is trying to determine that timeline. I think the event of the pacemaker gives us an idea, but we're gonna sift through the cell phone records. We're gonna go through the planner. We're contacting workers, maintenance workers, family members, security. We're gonna be talking to security. It's a secure subdivision. There's in and out that I believe is documented. So we're working with them to try and determine, when the last contact was, and that'll help us put together the timeline. So thank you, everybody. I hope this answered some questions. And again, if we get more information, we will release that. I know there is concern and interest in Mr. Hackman and Mrs. Arakawa, and I just appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Did you believe the dog died of starvation?
He skipped over the fire chief. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Yes, which one? That's right. That's it.
Yeah. And the law. So, well, just use our camera. So we're not doing. Never mind. Patrick has his.
And they're doing the fire chief inside. Inside. Do I come? So.
Fire chief's coming. Fire chief's coming.
Fire chief?
Gotta put everything back.
Sorry.
Somebody left their glasses here last time too, by the way. You got 1 second, I gotta put this back.
Yeah, you guys can take care of it.
Please take everything.
So I'll just start with, because of the toxicology report.
Give him a moment to get.
Well, I was just going to let everybody know that I'll ask any questions. I just thought the fire department wasn't involved as much because of the toxicology report of the person. But you guys can ask me some questions.
What's the scope of the questions you're going to answer, Bill?
Let me just introduce you real quick.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and take some questions from Fire Chief Brian Moya. The fire department was the first responding agency. When they entered and saw one of the deceased, they called the sheriff's department and waited for the sheriff's department to respond. So the scope of what Fire Chief can speak to is specifically that initial response, not the investigation, but the testing when we were talking about the carbon monoxide. So Chief will be able to answer those questions as far as what has his department tested, how often, and when.
Yeah, Chief, talk about that.
How you guys look for carbon monoxide and how you ruled it out at the house?
Yeah. So what we started with on the day of the event was we wanted to make sure our people were safe. So we did use our monitors from the Santa Fe Fire Department. We monitored throughout the house the whole time while we were looking for the second victim. And we made sure that it was safe for the sheriff's department and the fire department to be in the house during that time. So that's what we were mostly monitoring for. To add to that, yesterday we did go back again of the request of the sheriff's department to do another monitor to make sure that they were safe for them to do it again. So we did not pick up anything on our monitors, the Santa Fe Fire Department's monitors at all.
As first responders, you often, come to these scenes. We know 2 dogs survived. Any indication on how they were able to survive more than a week?
Yeah, so the door to the back side of the house was open from what my paramedics told me. So I think they were able to go outside a little bit. I don't know about food. That was not part of what I was able to see or do.
Water?
That I don't know either. But they were able to go in and out of the house through an open door in the back side of the house.
Chief, given that the firefighters were first on the scene, I know that the 2 dissidents were found in different rooms of the house, but do you know how far away they were?
I don't know how far they were. They didn't give me that information.
And then, this might not be up your alley, but do you know what tests are being run on the dog who died?
So that would have to be asked to the sheriff. Yeah, that's out of my wheelhouse, sorry.
When it's carbon monoxide, is there kind of some obvious places you go to in the house to look for leaks? And if those are ruled out, is there any other source that can be found?
So we checked the whole house. They told me they went through the whole house. It took them about 30 minutes. So we made sure that we went through the entire house the whole time, made sure, carbon monoxide's low. So they checked for that. There was not finding anything. So everything we had on our monitors were clean across the board as long as we were there.
So there was no gas leak?
That I was aware of, that from our monitors, we didn't find anything per the fire department's rules.
Do you know if Gene Hackman wore like a life alert or some sort of device that he could press if he were incapacitated?
Nobody told me that information from what I gathered from my team.
From what your team did gather, was there any indication that the pills that were found there was an attempt to take those pills?
Yeah, that wouldn't be part of my team's investigation. Our team saw that there was deceased, there was no life-saving measures, and that was what we did as our team. We didn't have anything involvement in that part at all.
Are there any other gases that would be in a house that could have the effects of like carbon monoxide?
Yeah, so we have our meters do multiple readings across multiple spectrums. I won't go into that details, but none of our meters picked up anything in the house. So all of our meters were 0 across the board, and so that was clearly done, and that was mostly for our safety too. Was the sheriff's department was there for a long time, the fire department was there for a long time. We wanted to make sure our people were safe and there was no hazards in the room. Yes, ma'am.
You said that the doors were open. Would we be able to find any indication of carbon monoxide if the doors were open still?
So if there was that big of a leak, we could have happened. I think the problem was we don't know how long they were down for. So it could have been, I would probably, in my instance, if it was a propaned house, maybe the propane would have ran out by then, but it was natural gas. And, that's a metered thing in that neighborhood, so it could have ran. So per our determination, I don't think that our meters would have picked something up if we would have still had a leak in there.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
Is it possible they could have been exposed but and not show up later on?
That would have to be pushed to the sheriff's department. I wouldn't know that detail. I'm sorry.
Was it your firefighters who found the deceased dog in the closet?
The sheriff's department found that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we don't know if that door was locked or unlocked?
We don't. That was all in the sheriff's department. My team, they went in, found the first victim, waited until the sheriff's department arrived. They stepped back out. Then they found the second victim. Once we did our determination that the fire department wasn't needed besides doing the gas detection, then they released us from the scene. So we were not there more than maybe an hour and a half total, and then the fire department was released back to work.
The warrant mentioned mummification for these victims. Was the decomposition similar for both, or could you tell that one may have died before the other?
I will let the sheriff answer that question. I'm a lot more restricted on the HIPAA rules than the sheriff's department is, so I would have to let the sheriff answer that question.
Can you just describe what mummification means, though? Like what that looks like when you...
So if somebody was down for a long time, their hands could be blackened and stuff to that nature. They could have no eyes. The eyes could have been gone by that time if it's been that long of time ago. There could be no smell. It could happen. So my indication is we don't know how long they were down. My team's main focus was to find out that they were deceased. There was no further stuff that we could do. If any opportunity to bring them back alive, that was not happening, and so we wrote it up that way.
You've been in the fire department for a long time. Can you explain to us or educate us how long does it take when someone has passed away that the mummification or the mortis starts, just so we can get an idea?
It would be over 2 weeks. Yeah, I've been with the department a long time, so yes, it would be that. Any other questions for me?
Do you have any information on the square footage of the house? How many rooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing?
All that my team told me was it was very large. It was not an easy house to get through, and it took a long time to find all the rooms. So it was not something a normal house most of us live in that can be done in 5 or 10 minutes.
The 911 call, the caller from the 911 call said that he couldn't get inside the house, but he said that the door was open by the time your team got there. Was it a different part of the house?
So I don't know if my team, the door was unlocked, so the door was closed. So my team opened the door, saw the victim, stepped back out and waited till sheriffs arrived. So he might not have tried the door like we did. So that's what we did first. Our team was safe enough that they thought it was safe enough to enter the home because they could see through the window. So my team can assume that they could enter when they opened the door. We tried it before we pry. The fire department are a little more manly. We just break doors down. We tried it. It opened. They saw them, and then they stepped back and waited.
So you said that the doors were open, so the dogs were going in and out, so the door would have to be open.
So there was a different door farther down in the home that was cracked open that the sheriff's department found farther in the home, not the main front door.
Do you plan to investigate any of the other residencies in the area to see if there's any other concerns with carbon monoxide or anything?
So what we will do is that would be a 911 call. So somebody would have to call our home, or let us know that we would like to be checked out. We do that. That's part of what we do as the fire department in Santa Fe. But they would have to call us. We wouldn't just knock on somebody's door and say we'll check up carbon monoxide, but they would call for us. Any other questions for me? Yeah, thank you guys. Sorry I didn't answer earlier. I figured you didn't want to talk to me once the toxic caller report came out. So thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Great question. Thank you. I think we got something.